we'll see with that. Good 3 up. I like it. Not too obvious guys. I'm going to start with my 3 down. This one might be a little bit obvious, but I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford. I just think at this point in his career, we know what Stafford is. He's basically Brett Favre without the magical moments of Favre. He's a gunslinger. He's going to take a lot of chances. He's going to turn over the football. The yards and touchdowns that he got in 2011 was a product of volume, people. Volume. It happens, okay? This guy, and now granted, he's throwing 64% completion percentage this year, and that's the best of his career. I'm just not sold on the intangibles of Matthew Stafford, his football IQ. It's not there. He's no stretch of the imagination is this guy a $20 million a year quarterback. I'm not saying you can't build around him, but for a guy that had a lot of expectations coming into a season, off a season where this football team finished 11-5, to be the laughingstock that they are is pretty bad. Now, this offensive line is bad. They have had no running game whatsoever. You could argue, oh, they just went into Green Bay and won. Green Bay's not healthy. I'm not sold on Matthew Stafford. I think we've seen what he is. I think we've seen his ceiling.
Yeah, I like to agree with that myself. I can't really argue. With Matthew Stafford, it's a curious case because when you watch them play, considering, like you said, the amount of throws he had to throw.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the last couple of years. In 2012, he threw the ball 727 times.
Crazy.
And you also brought up a good point. He doesn't have a run game either. Detroit's never had a run game.
Never.
And I think that's the defense that Stafford has is they never gave him a proper run game to take the load off him, and I think that Detroit burned him out.
Right. I'm with you there. I'm going to go on to my next down quarterback, and he's playing okay, and his team's in a position to win, but I think we've seen the ceiling of Matt Ryan at this point, too. I'm not overly excited with what kind of future potential this kid has. We know that he's gotten to a NFC Championship game, had a lot of talent on that roster, pretty good defense that year. Now, Matt Ryan, they've had a good running game. They've stringed together a couple games that they've won, but this team has also lost a lot recently. They went into San Francisco and lost to Blaine Gabbert. Matt Ryan has a lot of weapons. He's got Julio Jones, Leonard Hankerson. He doesn't have Tony Gonzalez anymore. I understand that. He could maybe use a little bit of an upgrade at tight end, and this offensive line is still shaky. It's young, but at this point, I mean, if you have all the pieces, and I mean all the pieces, a stud corner, consistent pressure on the cornerback, a good running game, and Julio Jones, maybe Matty can give you a shot. I'm just not sold on him as another $20 million quarterback guy. He is what he is at this point. He's a solid 25 to 30 touchdown guy a year. You get the efficiency from him. But in terms of just that killer instinct, those guts to go out there and get W's for this football team, I'm not sold. If I'm an NFL GM, sure, I'll sign him. Like I said, I better have all the pieces in place. I don't think I can hang my hat on Matt Ryan.
Yeah, and I can agree with that myself. And it's also a case that the offensive line was ranked as the worst in the NFL last year, and the fact the defense was ranked worst in the NFL. I think the issue with Ryan was probably the same thing with Stafford. In their prime, when they were at their best, they didn't have all the pieces.
Right. And that's really it. You got to have all the pieces in the NFL. My final down guy, and there's a lot of guys I could pick from, and this guy he's never been elite, but I'm going with Alex Smith. I think it's time for Kansas City to move on from this guy. Here you have a guy who is basically allergic to throwing the ball down the field. He either doesn't know how or he simply just can't. At a certain point, you can't play small ball in the NFL. You just won't win games if you're not taking shots down the field. You're not telling a defense, hey, we got to guard the back end. You can just stick all your defenders in the short and intermediate range because you know that's what this guy's going to do. I'm going to dump it off to Charles. I'm going to dump it off to Charkandrick West. Oh, little screen passes, little flares. That's great. That doesn't win you NFL games. And I know that we can argue, oh, in 2013, the Chiefs had a wild card, and if it wasn't for all those injuries, they probably won. And yeah, you're right, but Charles was playing out of his mind, and I'm just not sold. I'm sure a lot of people haven't been sold for a while, but I think even at age 32, 31, 32, I'm done with this guy. I'd give Murray a shot, honestly, at this point in the season if they can't get it together. And I'm looking to replace this kid. He's just not what it takes. He doesn't have what it takes to win football games.
Yeah, and I could say the same. It's watching the Chiefs throughout the season. It's kind of funny because Andy Reid, when he had Donovan McNabb, they were never afraid to throw it deep.
Never.
And I think Andy Reid is trying to get the best out of Alex Smith. He's trying to get the best of what he has.
Right.
And the fact that he's gotten this kind of production out of Smith is amazing in its own right.
Right.
And, yeah, I think Aaron Murray is someone that can better fit the Andy Reid offense than Alex Smith does.
Right. People raved about him coming out of college. Heck, if it wasn't for a torn ACL, he might have been, I'm not going to say a first rounder, but a second or third round pick. Murray has some arm talent. He's just a shorter guy. And let's face it, Russell Wilson, third round. Drew Brees, top second round pick. I mean, these guys don't get first round value because of their height.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of GMs were scared following the ACL tear from Aaron Murray, but
look at Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I think there was a short list of quarterbacks that I saw in the draft that year that had the kind of natural talent and leadership that Aaron Murray does.
Right. So.
And I think that Aaron Murray, once he gets his opportunity, which I hope is next year, that he will show Kansas City that they're able to throw the ball deep and they're able to have a different part of the offense.
Most definitely, sir. Well, that was our 3 up and 3 down segment. Obviously, the NFL is a fluid situation, so in 3 weeks, we could have a new 3 up, 3 down. I love talking quarterbacks with you. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of wide receivers or running backs in the future, Lars, just to keep things fresh because, again, we got a lot of young talent at receiver in this game, so that'll be fun to talk about. If you guys have your own 3 up or 3 down, guys we didn't mention, show us in the comment section below. Your voice, your opinion matters. So check out Rebel Media Group. Check out Lars Lewis on Twitter. I'm at Sports Debate Tom. This was Debategate at High Stakes Sports Debates Networks, and we'll see you here next time.
High Stakes Sports Debates.